Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Multimedia, and we are here with another installment of This Week in EDM, where we go over songs that came out this week in EDM. As always, there's a Spotify link down below, and just remember, this is just my opinion, do not take them as gospel truth, so let's hop into it. Starting us off in the bad category is Don Diablo and Nelly Furtado with Doin' Nothin. First things first, this is the most explicit, clean song I've ever heard in my life. Nelly sounds like she's swearing the whole time, yet she's not actually. Otherwise, the deep house Don Diablo production isn't overly intriguing and sometimes sounds actively bad. Then we've got Alan Walker with Me, Myself, and the Night. Another awkward sounding track from Alan Walker that sounds like it's just made for children and lacks much of any passion. We've heard this track from Alan Walker a million times, and even more so with a vocalist that sounds exactly like this one. Then we're hopping into the meh category. We've got MORTEN and ARTBAT with Culture. Don't really get the appeal of this track. The vocals are annoying at times, the beat is fine, and the track just feels too angry for seemingly no reason. It's an aggressive tech house track that's mainly whatever. Then we got Matoma featuring Mjøen with Exhilarate. Another single from this upcoming record, and sadly another one that just wasn't doing a whole ton. It's got a very commercial appeal to it, as all the singles have been up to this point, and even more so embracing still that kind of tribal style of percussion work, but otherwise doesn't really have too much to say. Then we've got the Flux Pavilion remix of Chaos, originally by Must Die. I wasn't a huge fan of the original from Must Die, and I honestly think this remix just brought my issues with the original more to the forefront. My biggest gripe with the remix and the original is that, incredibly flat mixing. And whenever you pair it with Flux's fairly iconic now synth sounds, the whole track just has a certain buzz to it that I can't seem to shake or really enjoy. We got PhaseOne and HVDES with Lullaby from the new Terra Nova LP out now by PhaseOne. This track in particular sees PhaseOne tackling a pretty safe dubstep track by his own standards with gunshot melodies and an intentionally empty, slowly moving sound. I'm not particularly over the moon with this sound, nor anything particularly from this LP. We got Martin Garrix and Lauv with Mad. One of Martin's most boring tracks in a while, honestly. The quick drop, the simple melody, the lack of any real dynamicism. The song is just a bit of a bore. Lauv isn't also really offering much himself either, as this track sort of just is. I don't think it's overly bad, but I definitely don't think it's overly interesting. Then we've got, I'm not sure if it's Kush or Cash, but either one of them, with Dynamick with Never Enough. A fairly serviceable tech house track with a big bass line and club vibe to it. It teeters that line between unique and generic for sure. Then we've got John Casey and TroyBoi with AHORA. I'm a little torn on this track because there are some elements I really love and others I couldn't care less for. It's got a fairly standard trap beat to back up with some melodies that don't really sound great and some that do, some vocals that work and some that don't. This is a real mixed bag for me. Then we've got Dion Timmer with 10 to You from the new Subsidia Dawn Volume 10 compilation. A fairly bright track from Dion Timmer with a light synth melody and even some brass instrumentation sprinkled out throughout the transitions. It's got a more driven 4-on-the-floor style beat that kind of back-ended that nice switch up with the more kind of typical dubstep drops. I think it's fairly fine. Then we got GRiZ and Wooli with Chaos Theory. GRiZ and Wooli collab for what is the most Subtronic sounding track that isn't actually by Subtronics. It's wonky, a little silly, and is borderline vomit step the entire way through. A neat tune, but in the end, fairly meh. Then we got Mesto and Vlaurr with All Night from this new kind of A-B of collabs between these two. This track in particular is a Mesto-dominated one with his signature electro house synth playing a leading role on this track. It's solid, nothing too crazy, and classic Mesto. Snakehips and Lose the Child with Nobody Else But You, a carefree house track with a simple beat and waning synth sustain to give it a fairly unique sound palette. It's a neat little track that's definitely a party starting tune and excels in those settings for sure. Then we got 7 Lines and YDG featuring Bella Renee with Man Down. A truly unique sounding track from 7 Lines standards that is pretty much your kind of pure 140 dubstep the whole way through. The track is simple, the melodies are fat, but in the end I didn't really feel like I overly cared for this one. Then we got Son Holo and Underbelly with an Introduction to Wholesome Rhythm from the Introduction to Wholesome Rhythm EP. As someone that's historically been a bit of a rhythm hater, but also a Son Holo glazer, I'm still really on the fence about this new era of wholesome rhythm. This track in particular has a ton of variety within those main movements, and some of them I really resonate with, and others I actively dislike. I love the idea on paper or the concept of doing rhythm that's wholesome and bright and happy, but in execution I'm still a little iffy on it. Time will tell where my feelings go with this whole new era from Son Holo. And then we're heading into the good category with Mirage's Replay, a brand new DNB alias from Exod, as it seems like everyone right now has a new DNB alias, but regardless, it's nothing crazy, but is still a good solid dance floor drum and bass tune that gets the job done, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. Then we got OK and Wolfgang Gartner with Past Life, a groovy garage house track that's got a lot of fun production elements sprinkled throughout and keeps the vibe going and keeping it also fairly non-generic. This track is part throwback dance party, part modern funk. Then we got Above and Beyond featuring Richard Bedford with Start a Fire, a moody progressive house track that takes things slow and brings you deep into the soundscape with warm kicks and Richard Bedford's tenor vocal performance. Pretty solid track. Then we got Anyma Rezz featuring Kansad with Entropy from the new The End of Genesis album. I'm definitely hoping that this End of Genesis album means the end of this techno trend that Anyma has been sort of pioneering, but I don't know, we'll see how it plays out. That being said, I'm actually really enjoying this track in particular, and I think it's a solid melding of techno and mid-tempo production. Some of Rezz's best even to date. Then we've got DeVault with Body, Across the Floor. Yes, tech house is still very much in season, and this is a more club-focused track of that nature, giving it a distinctly different feel than the tracks within the genre. It's a sexy track that's all about moving your body, and I enjoyed it more than I expected to. Then we've got Adventure Club and Flight School featuring Reeve with Light Me Up. Adventure Club is transporting me back to the early sounds of their production and is a fairly euphoric drum and bass tune that I was very impressed with, especially considering I hadn't been in love with their latest releases. I'm hoping that this is the start of a new resurgence for Adventure Club. Then we got Ray Volpe and Sullivan King with Rewind. Actually blown away by this track in a way that I did not expect. It's aggressive Britain production that just works. The vocals match the tone of the track well, and the drops have enough chaos to them while still keeping things fairly straightforward. It's a banger. Then we've got Tokyo Machine with MVP from the new Factory Reset EP. A rigid, technological dubstep track with a heavy beat and stellar production. The back half of this track does switch things up quite a bit with a kind of pseudo-hardstyle drop, and then brings it home with a more trap-centric sound. A fun track for sure. Then we got Bison and Mayao featuring Codebreakers with Let's Race. A quintessential Chompo track that has layers of bass house and electro house, and all sounds like it's designed to be heard in a video game. I love the intensity and thought this was one of the strongest Chompo tracks of recent memory. Then we got Nimda with DIV Killer. Nimda is just straight up looking like the premier producer in this kind of heavy bro step and tear out styles in 2025. This loud and aggressive new single manages to sound abrasive as hell while not making my ears bleed profusely. It's intentional noise, and I think it works. Then we got The Midnight with Digital Dreams, a long 6-minute journey of a synthwave track that just might be some of their best work yet. The track is vibey, the vocals are solid, and I love the natural progression of this one. Then we've got Fox Stevenson with Give Me Some Space. Fox Stevenson on a kazoo was not on my 2025 bingo card, but it's hilarious and really matches the mood of this track. It's simple, carefree, and has more of Fox's signature drum and bass production. Then we got Forrester featuring Vancouver Sleep Clinic with Me and You. Gorgeous and lovely melodic house track here that has a bit of a tribal aesthetic to the whole thing. I'm a sucker for Vancouver Sleep Clinic's vocals as well, and I thought that he really added an extra ethereal layer to this one. Then we got Bad Computer with Can't Heal You. Bad Computer is continuing his dominance in 2025 with a new Future House single on NCS that may have accidentally released a week early, but hey, it's here now and it's fantastic as expected. All these house subgenres that Bad Computer is bouncing around nowadays all tend to match his production style super well and is just a testament to his quality and sound. Then we've got Pendulum with Save the Cat. We officially have a new Pendulum album on the horizon, and I am stoked. Rob Swire is back to screaming, and he's maybe the only screaming vocalist I really love because he can jump back to a more pure vocal delivery at the snap of a finger. Dude is literally duetting with himself, and it rocks. Best vocals in years from Rob, and the production is just pure aggressive Pendulum. And I know it's technically Pendulum, but it looks like Pendulum. There's no G, and I just like the name of Pendulum better than Pendulum. And our emerging artist spotlight of the week goes to Desix with Mirage from the new Digital Dreamscape album. This new album is doing a lot all at once and doing it all pretty well. This track in particular has quite the wet and liquefied sound design while not entirely landing within a single genre. Some electronica, some dubsteps, color bass, some electro. It's got a lot of good going around. But that's been This Week in EDM. Let me know what you think of any and all songs in the comment section below. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Multimedia, and I'll see you guys in another video.